So guys, I purchased this camera, when did I purchased the Canon 1DX MII on the 29th of the 6th, 2018, so that's a bit more over a year and a half. And prior to purchasing it, I didn't know anything about photo or video, so this camera has been a massive reason why I've been able to progress the way I have, or much faster than I would have with any other camera. And I really believe that because there's so many functions to this camera that really excel it over other cameras, and it's really allowed me to cut the learning curve. So I've got a few things here I've noted down that I'll go through. So the Canon 1DX is coming into a much more affordable price range, so that becomes really interesting for people that want to upgrade to this. But there is a few caveats to buying this camera that I maybe wouldn't recommend for some people. I don't know if I would purchase this camera if I was purchasing again, so I'll run through a few things. So for me guys, I was so sure I wanted this camera because I wanted to give myself the best chance to becoming a full-time YouTuber, full-time filmmaker, photographer, and do it independently, so do the projects I want. And to do that, I knew I wanted an audience on YouTube because that would really help me fund everything, all the creative projects I wanted to do. So I wanted to give myself the best shot at becoming a full-time YouTuber, and I definitely thought at the time this camera was the right choice, and it has worked out. So it's been a really big investment for someone that knew nothing about video and photo. Yeah, it's worked out pretty well. There's a few things I'd maybe change up a bit, so I'll go over a bit more about why it was a good choice for me at the time. So first thing we've got here is just overall image quality. So I'm fixed on image quality, and the reason being is I want to be a colorist. I want to improve my skills of being a colorist. I love editing. I sit there all day and I just edit and edit. I actually procrastinate on other important tasks because I like to color grade. So I've built up quite a skill there, and I just want to get really good at it. So this camera was definitely the right choice for overall image quality and pursuing being a colorist, because great colors on average looking footage, it doesn't really sell you the colors. And you don't know, when you're making colors, you don't know what you're making is any good if it's on bad looking footage. It doesn't really help the process at all. And I also knew I wanted to sell really awesome Luts, and then that helps me sell my Luts, because if you see them on great footage and on footage other professionals are using, it makes it much more likely for you guys to purchase the Luts. And then the next one is just colors. So color Canon science, you've probably heard it all before, but that is pretty much a must for me. So there's pretty much no other option. You can just tell every time I look at a Panasonic or a Sony, the colors are just not as good as Canon. Great white balance. So I picked up a Mark II, like a second-hand Mark II, for a few $100s to use as like a time-lapse camera. The white balance is just terrible, but there's such a big improvement. It helps so much having a camera that's really good at white balance. Bitrate, so even the 120 on the Canon 1DX, it's HD, but it has a really high bitrate, so there's just more information in those files, and that's good because you can just push the colors and the image doesn't break, and there's just more detail in those images. So that just really helps the color grading process, and then just overall better looking image. And I also really love slow motion, so that's what I was thinking of shooting in the whole time. I wasn't even thinking about 4K when I bought this camera. It does photo and video, so I especially wanted to get into video when I bought this camera, but photo and video, I needed to do both, so this has allowed me to do great editing with the images that come from it. If you want the raw images, you can download them if you join my course, but yeah, I'm offering them all out to you guys. But it has allowed me to learn editing really well by knowing that I have a great looking image. If the image doesn't look good, it's not the camera's fault. I had full confidence that it wasn't the camera's fault my image or my colors don't look like other people's. It was something I was doing in editing or when I shot. I had full confidence in that, so that really helped me in the process of creating colors and great edits. I am starting to use the 4K a lot more now. I'm trying to not use the 120 when there's not a lot of movement, but if there's a lot of movement in in the shot. That's when I'm using 120, not a lot of movement, I'll be shooting 4K. I'm trying to do that a lot more now because you kind of need that higher resolution these days. And the reason I wouldn't go for a cinema camera is probably for those photo capabilities as well, and practical use of it being smaller. Really underrated things is the rack focus to this camera. So when things focus on things, they hunt, but if I just come forward and back, it's just a real smooth, gradual focus every time. And in slow motion, 120, the focusing is just dead smooth, and it just makes it perfect rack focusing, and you just really can't get that with any other camera. If you're on a gimbal, like, good luck getting a smooth rack focus without great autofocus. And then just the build quality and durability is just a plus. I'm not very hard on my camera at all, but it's good to know that it's waterproof. I've used it in the pouring rain a few times, and its resellability is really good, really sturdy, and designed to go for years and years and years. So a few cons about the camera: there's no flip screen. It would be nice. It's not a complete deal breaker for me. I've got a mirror around the side of my camera right now, so I just go like this. I can see my shot. Back. Can't see myself anymore, but I know I'm in frame. The size of the camera, lots of people like the weight and size. I don't mind it, but these days I would rather a smaller camera, because if you hand the camera off to like your girlfriend or something to get a shot of you, it's just way too heavy for most people to operate or feel comfortable with. Yeah, it's not discreet either, so they feel very like looked at and stuff like that. So I'd much rather a smaller camera, and I'm trying to get a lot more movement in my films, and it would just be a bit easier with a lighter camera. You just get a bit more movement, you get a bit more mobile. It does smooth out the footage when you go handheld, which is a big plus, but it's also really heavy. I think it's going in the direction of smaller cameras, so the size isn't great. The price is a negative, but you get what you pay for with this camera. It doesn't do overly well on the specs, but there's just the colors, the rack focus, the durability, all that stuff that isn't main specs everyone looks at. Things like that really make this camera worth it. There's no C-Log. People say this is a massive deal breaker. You need to install C-Log onto it, Cine style. I've done that, and it's really easy to do. You just plug it into the computer, you download it, you upload the Cine log. It's pretty necessary. I'd say it's 100% necessary for this camera, but it's easy to install, so don't worry about that. The intervalometer is a pain in the ass. It causes me to not set up my camera for time lapses sometimes. I have to make sure the batteries, I have to remember how to use intervalometer. It's just a real pain in the ass. When I think about upgrading, I think that is almost the biggest reason for me. Just the friction of not having an inbuilt intervalometer really pains me. I don't think I'll be upgrading to a new camera anytime soon. Maybe the 5R if it does really good 8K footage. Okay, but what I wish this camera had, I wish it had 10-bit, because I want to do color grading, so I really want that. It's almost a necessity for what I do. Raw would be good. I get to push those colors a bit more. The footage would look more appealing. I don't do any client stuff. I sometimes like shoot hotels and stuff, but I don't get paid. I just say I'll do it for free and then like make content for YouTube while I'm there. Electronic viewfinder I think would be a huge plus just for workflow. Getting rid of that friction of exposing your image and being able to see exactly what you're shooting would really help. And then inbuilt Luts, maybe that would be really good for me, but maybe I could just get a monitor that takes Luts so I can see graded footage. It gets really hard to expose your image correctly when you just got a flat looking image, because everything's kind of the same brightness. There's no contrast. So I use the histogram on the back of the 1DX, which helps a lot. If you're looking to become a travel filmmaker, photographer, this camera is going to be relevant for a few more years. However, you are buying into old technology, like all these new lenses, gonna have to get adapters, these really expensive memory cards, and the batteries for the 1DX Mark II. But yeah, let me know if you got any questions, guys, if you guys are thinking of picking up this camera. Yeah, so I didn't know anything before buying it, and I'm really happy with my purchase, guys. It's a badass camera. But yeah, if you guys want to be a travel filmmaker, travel photographer, so that's why I picked it up. I was just so inspired to just like, I have to make this work. I need to make it work. Whatever the money took, it was a question of time, or importance of time. It's like, this opportunity on YouTube isn't going to be around forever, so I was like, buy the best camera I could, learn. Maybe it was an overkill because I didn't know anything, but I was willing to take that risk, and it's paid off. It's paid off, I think. So so far. Yeah, I don't think I'll be upgrading. I think it will become a B camera at least. I won't be selling it because I don't have another camera, but I don't think I'll be upgrading yet. I might as well teach everything I know, not just editing, but like I want to help you guys become travel filmmakers, travel photographers, pretty much anyone that's trying to achieve what I'm trying to achieve. So I just want to teach you guys everything I know on the process of becoming an independent filmmaker, photographer, a YouTuber as well. And I'll catch you in the next one.